In the headlines, Niger State Police arrest 2 motorcycle snatchers. Zamfara PDP calls on APC-led government to end prevailing insecurity in the state. Former presidential candidate Bashir Tofa buried in Kano. On the foreign scene, Mali opposition rejects election delay in new transition plan. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Now the news in detail. Police in Niger State have arrested 2 suspected motorcycle snatchers identified as Aliyu A. and Mohammed Dani in Mina, the state capital. The suspects were arrested by the police attached to the GRA police station, Mina, during the operation at about 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, when they allegedly attempted to kill one of their victims. The suspect, who boarded one motorcycle, popularly known as Okada, from Fadukwe area of Mina to Shanu area, reportedly hit the rider, identified as Muhammad Idris Sakewa, on his head with a hammer and took the motorcycle. According to Daily Trust, eyewitnesses said loud screaming by the victim attracted people around the area who went after the criminals, apprehended and handed them over to Fadikbe Vigilante Corps, who in turn took them to the police, while the victim is rushed to the hospital or to the police clinic on Gwandaji, Mina, for treatment. Gunmen struck a boat carrying 14 passengers from Yenagwa en route to Brass in Brass local government area of the state. Bielsa chairman of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Ogoniba Ipigansi, confirmed the incident to the news agency of Nigeria in Yenagwa on Sunday. He said the passengers were left unhurt. The gunmen dispossessed the passengers of their valuables, dumped them in the bush, and made away with the 115 horsepower Yamaha outboard engine of the boat. Ipigansi also said that a rescue team had been dispatched to the scene of the incident. People's Democratic Party in Zamfara State called on Governor Bello Mohammed-led administration in the state to demonstrate strong political will to bring an end to prevailing insecurity in the state. It claimed that in the last 3 days, more than 50 persons were killed and many others abducted by suspected bandits. The PDP State Deputy Chairman, Professor Kabiru Jabaka, who briefed newsmen in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, on behalf of the state chairman, Colonel Bala Mande, retired, accused Governor Bello Mohammed of leaving the people at this difficult time to travel out of the state to Niger Republic to watch a wrestling match to pass time. The report.
The People's Democratic Party PDP Deputy Chairman in Zamfara State, Professor Kabiru Jabaka, claimed that the present administration in the state have not initiated and completed a single capital project, and its support for victims of banditry in the state is not good enough. The PDP is asking the Bello Mohammed administration to wake up to what it described as a slumber, to live up to its constitutional responsibility of ensuring the welfare and security of the citizens. The PDP alleged that in the last 3 days, more than 50 persons were killed, while several others abducted in the state. But instead of State Governor Bello Mohammed to stay behind to provide succor to the victims, he left the country to Niger Republic to watch wrestling.
The welfare of the people and security of their lives is the primary purpose of government, as enshrined in our Constitution and other international charters signed by our country. But unfortunately, if we look at the attitude of the leadership in the state, their acts demonstrate that they have chosen comfort as their primary objective of leadership in the converse. Why? Because everybody, I'm sure, will agree with me that it is dishonorable of our leadership in the state at this very critical time, at this very challenging time, when the state is profusely bleeding, lives are lost every day, more than 50 people killed in 3 days, houses torched, and several people abducted, that the head of governance in the state can leave the state as well as the country only to go and enjoy a pastime watching wrestling in Niger.
Professor Jabaka decried that the state's economy and schools have been shut down in the state for some time, but the state government is not making any efforts to improve the situation. It wants the state government to work hard to ensure peace returns to the state so that the economy can pick up.
How do you imagine a leader having, comfort when his state is bleeding like this? When the economy of his people is completely ruined? When education of the people of the state can be said to be educationally shut down? Our children are shut down from school, we can say indefinitely. This is very unfortunate. So I think these are enough for the people of Zamfara state to be conscious of what is happening so that they decide for themselves.
The Zamfara State PDP Deputy Chairman, Professor Kabiru Jabaka, highlighted the areas the present administration has not done well, to include lack of establishing official IDP camps, inadequate support to victims of banditry, and completion of a single capital project in the state, among others.
Nigerians have identified priority areas they want President Muhammadu Buhari to focus on as he consolidates on his stewardship in the new year. A cross-section of respondents who spoke to Trust TV's Shafi'u Suleiman want an expedited action in the areas of food security, poverty alleviation, employment opportunities, and address the escalating insecurity. The report.
Nigerians witness another brand new year, 2022. It's a year that Nigerians have a lot of expectations, especially on the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, which is supposedly in its last lap, in its 8 years tenure. And of course, a year preceding the general elections in 2023. Nigerians have high hopes with regards to what the government can do to change the narratives of constant rising insecurity, declining economy, and of course excruciating hardship that has been ravaging the over 200 million population. Now let's hear from some of these Nigerians with regards to what they want the government to do differently this year.
I would like just to empower the youth. There's no job, some people are dying of hunger, most things like most of us now, there's some of us would like to do this, but because we don't have good leader, so there's no opportunity to do that.
If they can do us a favor by not increasing the price of the fuel, and also make sure the price of foods are reduced.
The main thing is food. We lack that one a lot. Even me as a student, that is my biggest challenge, because I have to wait sometimes if my parents cannot provide for me at a time. I have to keep struggling, and I'm a lady.
Work opportunity for the youth and good health and health center to be working, the road infrastructures for the people and security.
Let the government equip our security personnel, and in return, let them be honest and accountable.
Many poor Nigerians are suffering. Hunger is everywhere, there is no security. We are finding it difficult to eat. Most people are dying because of hunger.
Really, what I want them to do is to reduce the price of fuel. At least things will come down. That's what I believe.
Let the government assist our wheelbarrow association.
Nigerians have spoken, and you've heard some of the interactions we had with them. Ordinary Nigerians on the streets. They centered around the need for government, especially the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, to address some fundamental issues that affect the lives of the common people, address the issues of insecurity, tackle poverty and hunger, and then create employment opportunities for teeming unemployed youths. As it is with democracy, it is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And the people here have spoken. And it is expected that the government will do the needful. Shafi'u Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Gombe State Government administers oath of office to the newly appointed acting Chief Judge of the state. Justice Joseph Awak, who is sworn in on Sunday, takes the apex judicial position in the state as the most senior. Ibrahim Ismail reports from Gombe.
Before his appointment as the acting Chief Judge of Gombe State by Governor Inwaya, Justice Joseph Awak was a State High Court judge. His appointment was sequel to retirement of Justice Muazu Pindiga, who was acting Chief Judge between 2019 and early 2022.
My lords, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the appointment of the acting Honorable Chief Judge of the state is sequel to the retirement from service of the acting Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Muazu Pindiga. I would like to use this opportunity to thank the former acting Chief Judge, Justice Muazu Pindiga, for his meritorious and selfless service as acting Chief Judge of Gombe State from 2019 to January 2022. I congratulate the newly appointed acting Chief Judge of the state, Honorable Justice Joseph A. Awak, who is the next most senior judge in the High Court of Justice, for his well-deserved appointment.
The newly sworn-in acting Chief Judge was challenged to face his responsibilities.
And perform my functions honestly, to the best of my ability.
We urge you to dispense justice to all manner of people in the state without discrimination, fear, or favor. For our part, this administration will continue to support the judiciary and legislature in discharging their statutory responsibilities effectively for the overall benefit of the good people of Gombe State.
Before this moment, some women in Gombe engaged in protest demanding the appointment of Justice Beatrice Ilia as the State Chief Judge, who now retired alongside former acting Chief Judge, Justice Muazu Pindiga. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, Borno IDPs expressed mixed reaction over camp closure. Do stay with us.
The board and management of Media Trust Limited invites the general public to its annual Daily Trust Dialogue, themed 2023, The Politics, Economy and Insecurity. Date, 20th January 2022. Location, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion, former Head of State, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. Guest Speaker, Governor of Kaduna State, Malan Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Guest Speaker, Governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi. Guest Speaker, former Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mrs. Ifueko Omoigui Okauru. Moderator, Executive Director, Daria Media Nigeria Limited, Kadaria Ahmed. The event will be transmitted live on Trust TV, and all participants must observe COVID-19 protocols and wear their face masks.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Updates. Here are some of a look at our top stories. Police in Niger State have arrested 2 suspected motorcycle snatchers identified as Aliyu A. and Mohammed Dani Mina, the state capital. And People's Democratic Party in Zamfara State called on the Governor Bello Mohammed-led administration to demonstrate strong political will to bring an end to the prevailing insecurity in the state. To more news. Nigeria Center for Disease Control says it recorded 573 new cases of COVID-19 across 7 states. The states that reported new cases include Lagos, 281, Benue, 202, Kano, 61, Borno, 20, Jigawa, 5, Edo, 2, and Oyo, 2. The agency said 572 persons are discharged on Sunday, raising the recovery figure to 215,352. 3 persons died of COVID complications, and the country's fatality toll now stands at 3,039. Nigeria now has a total of 243,450 confirmed cases in 36 states and the FCT. Internally displaced persons in Maiduguri have expressed mixed reactions following the already elapsed deadline to evacuate all IDP camps by 31st December. The IDPs complained of neglect and poor humanitarian support since the evacuation exercise began. The report.
Since the beginning of insurgency in Borno State, many have been displaced by terrorist attacks in communities in the last 12 years. The state government had earlier hinted its plans to shut down all IDP camps. It said that the decision was informed by the recent improved security situation and also to stop over-dependence on humanitarian support. At the moment, 6 IDP camps out of 13 have been closed and resettled back to their ancestral homes. Some IDPs have expressed fears that the insecurity still persists in their community, but others want government assistance before relocating.
Honestly, going back home empty-handed is a problem. But when we have something to rely on, it will be easy. We want the governor to support us financially so we can go home and do business.
We
heard that even those who returned left their community because they were attacked. We are also afraid, but home is better than here. And even the assistance we get from NGOs has reduced compared to before. It seems they are also tired. I'm from Monguno local government. Going back there, where are we going to farm? All the villages around my Monguno have harvested the farmlands. When the season has already passed, then we should farm. It won't work. We want the government to allow us to continue to stay here. If the government wants us to return, so hunger should kill us, we will go. Food items are very costly in the market.
There are 28 IDP camps in Borno State. So far, more than 90,000 IDPs have been resettled in their communities.
We close Mogolis, first Mogolis, followed by NYC, followed by Bakassi, also close Haruna Halana, Monada T, and Farm Center. These are the ones that we have already officially closed. Then 2 is almost, the deadline is like 2 days remaining, especially for Teachers Village and Stadium Camp. But inshallah, if not 100%, we'll guarantee 80% closure.
As the government continues its resettlement of displaced persons, many hope that the new year will be an end to insurgency in Borno State.
Former presidential candidate of the defunct National Republican Convention in the June 12, 1993 election, Bashir Othman Tofa, has been buried at Hajj Camp Cemetery in Kano Metropolis. Kano residents, friends and relatives continue to pay tribute to the family of late Bashir Tofa, who died earlier today at the age of 75. Bashir Tofa died at the intensive care unit of the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital after a brief illness. He left behind a wife and many children. Late Bashir Tofa is former presidential candidate under NRC in 1993, and until then, he was the leader of Kano Concerned Citizens.
You can't describe it. Like sometimes you hear someone's life and he has children, you can only imagine what they are going through. But it's something that we all know is going to happen. It's inevitable.
His death is not just a loss for the people of Kano State, but a loss for Nigeria as a whole, because late Tofa left his mark everywhere. We pray to Allah to forgive his shortcomings and grant him Jannatul Firdaus.
Remains of the late 41st Olubadan of Irepodunland and chairman of Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs, Oba Saliu Adetunji, has been buried on Sunday according to Islamic rites. The late Adetunji, 93, passed away in the early hours of Sunday morning at the University College Hospital, Ibadan. He is survived by his wife Rashidat Ololade Adetunji, children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Late Oba Adetunji ascended the throne as the 41st Olubadan of Irepodunland on Friday, March 4, 2016. Sympathizers described the monarch's death as a great loss to the southwest and Nigeria at large.
The next thing you should do is to call your doctor. And if there is thing for you to go to hospital, you go to hospital. But the fact of the matter is that he fell ill. He was in the hospital. How many days, sir? And he died in the early hours of this morning at the University College Hospital. He was once in the private hospital before he was moved over to the University College Hospital. He lived for peace, he lived for harmony, he lived for progress of the city. He was a peacemaker by any standards. You never had him fight over anything.
Yeah, we give glory to Almighty God because unto God we came, and unto Almighty God we all return. About Olubadan, he came, he saw, and he conquered. He conquered, he became the Olubadan. And you know what it is? To toe the line and rise to the point of being Olubadan of Ibadan. It's not one day job. And he had a marvelous time. He had a beautiful reign, a fulfillment to the glory of God and to the good people of Irepodunland.
Arewa Consultative Forum has described the candidate of the 1993 presidential election under the National Republican Convention, Bashir Tofa, as a patriot who wanted to serve his country. In a statement issued by the ACF's National Publicity Secretary, Emmanuel Yahweh, the forum described Tofa as a man of many parts, stating that he was sometimes a national politician, community leader, or an international businessman. ACF said Tofa was a founding member of the forum who invested his time, energy and money during its formative stages, but later preferred to stay behind and play an advisory role. In another statement issued by the ACF National Chairman, Audu Ogbe, the forum commiserated with the family of the Olubadan of Ibadan Obasaliu Adetunji, as well as the Ibadan Traditional Rulers Council and Oyo State Government over the demise of the monarch who died at the intensive care unit of the University College Hospital on Sunday. Ogbe said the ACF considers the late monarch as a very progressive traditional ruler who brought progress and stability to Ibadan, the headquarters of the defunct Western region and a powerful stool in Yoruba land. In business, crude oil market starts on a positive note in 2022, rising by 0.72% ahead of Tuesday's Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries meeting. The bullish trading, as shown by Reuters, was recorded on Monday with suppliers in focus. The transaction is the first after the New Year holiday, despite the surge in cases of COVID-19. In the report, Brent crude added 56 cents or 0.72% to $78.34 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 52 cents or 0.69% to $57.73 per barrel. Meanwhile, 4 sources said OPEC Plus will probably stick to their plan to add 400,000 barrels per day of supply in February. Last year, oil prices rose around 50%, spurred by the global economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic slump and producer restraint, even as infections reached record highs worldwide. On the foreign scene, a major coalition of political parties in Mali has rejected the military-dominated government's plan to extend a transition period for up to 5 years before the country returns to democratic rule. The coalition, known as the National Committee of the Salvation of the People, said in a statement on Sunday that the unilateral and unreasonable timetable is a violation of the transition charter and cannot in any way be the deep desire of the Malian people. ECOWAS, which has threatened to impose further sanctions on Mali's ruling military government for postponing the elections, is due to hold an extraordinary summit about Mali in Ghana's capital, Accra, on January 9. 22 people have been injured in a 5.5 magnitude earthquake that struck the county of Ninglang in southwest China's Yunnan province at 3:02 p.m. on Sunday. The Yunnan Provincial Earthquake Bureau has activated a Level 3 emergency response and sent a 23-member working team to the quake-hit region. The epicenter was about 60 kilometers away from the county seat of Ninglang in the city of Lijian and 110 kilometers from the old town of Lijian, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The earthquake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers, according to the China Earthquake Network Center. Sources with Ninglang Publicity Department said that a number of fallen tiles from village dwellings could be spotted at the scene. Rescuers are still checking the casualties and other damage from the quake. And with that, we wrap up Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.